Alright, so welcome back to Rent's Liga. I'm Rent, and today we have a little bit of a news update, as quick as I could make it, for the GLM 4.5 untuned preview for Novelai I Opus. I am really excited about this. I most likely will not be able to actually test it today, so if that's what you're here for, then you're probably going to want to choose another video that is going over this if there is one, because well, my card declined it and I couldn't actually order Opus this time. It seems like, I don't know, it just didn't work on this one thing, but I did try my hardest for about a full night and a half or something like that, and it just was not working. But we will be going over some of the newest releases, the tools and things that they have released, kind of like a news update, just to get the word out. You know what I'm saying? Lock in, and we'll just go over it here, and I'll explain what I'm kind of thinking and how these things will help and whatnot. Kind of like our last kind of news update for 2025 in general, right? Alright, now let's get right into the beef and potatoes of this new GLM 4.5. I actually don't know much about it. I didn't know what GLM 4.5 was, but apparently it's like an open source, you know, very large models. And let me tell you just like a little bit of a side tangent story before we really get into it, is these triple billion parameter models have really just kind of been blowing me away here recently. The DeepSeek V3 with a good context on chub.com, or Chub AI, you know, that really blew my socks off whenever they released Soji for 60k context with DeepSeek V3 for $20 a month. It just happened like sometime I bought the subscription very randomly and was locked in for it for about a month. Halfway through they dropped Soji and I was just like, wow, the quality difference from like Asha to Soji is so huge. So I hope it's going to be the same type of deal here. We're going to go from Kyra, or I mean, from Utropy, which is, I believe, 75, right? 75k on Llama 3 Erato, but into the triple digits. This is let me see if I can hop over there and show you. So now, just to quantify, we are going from a 70 billion to a 355 billion total parameters. Yes, that is, I believe, slightly less than DeepSeek, which was like a 400 and something billion parameter. The leap from like 70 to 355 should be huge, and it is apparently very good. I don't know about that, but I mean, I haven't seen it, I haven't played with it. I've heard a lot of good things on the Reddit, and I haven't really checked the Discord yet, but I mean, so far everyone's been pretty positive about it. It's been about 2 or 3 days. It is October the 2nd right now, so everything seems to be going fine. I haven't heard much about it, and they've also not even just went with GLM 4.5, they've even gotten the new 4.6 coming out, and I will go over that in a little bit. It might not have much information, better general stats, you know, but like I was saying, back to the main kind of release here. Immediately, GLM 4.5 could be a game changer. If it's anywhere near as good as DeepSeek V3 was, with a proper amount of context. For instance, I had, I don't know if the video is out yet, but I might try and release it with this one or sometime in the same week as this one. I did an AI dungeon video on it before DeepSeek V3 came to it, and then I realized, oh man, that's kind of old. I went back and did another test with DeepSeek V3 at the $15 tier, or at the $15 tier, so only 2k context, and it was kind of not as good, like, at all. And I think it was because of the context not being there, like, because it was really competent, it was really good, but without any good context, without much context, I didn't even get the full 8k context. It just kind of forgot a lot more than it really should have. It felt like having a genius that was also having a little hit of dementia, you know what I mean? It was very sad. I don't think it was very much worth it at the $15 tier, and I think I recommended just going for the $30 tier if you could, or the $50 tier, which would get you 8k context, which would be kind of the baseline minimum for these big boys to really be able to scratch their legs. I'm thinking triple digits, 28k tokens of memory. That is huge. And also, I think they have some like variance in it later on down the line. We'll get to it in a second, but hopefully that should be enough. That is leagues better than what we've had. I don't know if they're doing it to all of them, but I sure hope so. I mean, I hope that we're getting like a full, even if it is just this one, I think this is going to be like massive massive. So let's get right into it. Thank you for your patience. Today we are very pleased to make GLM 4.5 available to you, the model which will serve as the base of our next fine tune. I can't wait for the fine tune as well. Dude, their fine tunes make some of these kind of smaller, weaker models hit so hard. They hit like well above their weight class just from the fine tune. Not to mention, you know, the usability in the site. It's one of the smoothest sites that I've ever seen just for actually writing in and actually compiling your ideas. I just love this style. That's one of the other problems that I ran in with AI Dungeon. I'm sorry to say it. It's kind of rough, and I'm not sponsored or, you know, told to say anything about either one of them, so unbiased. It's just way rougher over there whenever I get to it. Like, I mean, even with their just side menu info memory things just constantly being erased, you know what I mean? It was just not a consistent baseline, which is why I don't really recommend it as much as this. Here you get kind of consistency. Even on Chub AI, you got consistently things. Like, you could change things and it wouldn't just disappear on you. There's a level of quality, a standard of quality, and I think AI Dungeon's UI just falls a slight bit below that. Besides that, they have plenty of power and diversity to spread around, but it's kind of unrefined and wild, you know what I mean? They've kind of went for the broad instead of the fine tune here. There's nothing wrong with that, but you know, I mean, of course they called it just the GLM 4.5. I don't exactly, I kind of like their characters, but it does go along with their 4.5 image model as well. But kind of would have liked the character. I kind of like, you know, just seeing them mingle together every now and then. I hope they do kind of give it a thing whenever it actually is fine-tuned and whatnot and is theirs, you know, so hopefully we can kind of wait on that. So here's where they mention that GLM 4.5 is now available with a context size of 672 tokens on our website, plus a 8K token rollover window. The rollover window means that the vertical, or that the actual usable context in the story editor will be somewhere between 8K or 28K and 36K tokens as the story will grow up to the maximum size. So that's what I was talking about with this kind of variable token rollover, which is honestly even huger, right? I think even on Chub AI, I think they went from the 60K, which was just humongous, right? Like, that is huge amount. That is so much that I only made a callback that would ever require that like once in the time that I did it. And I still think it might be a little too much, but I think they kind of eventually rolled back down to 30K tokens. Nothing wrong with a big context size, but as you can see, you might be getting even a little bit more than just 28K tokens, as the story will grow up to the maximum size before being reduced back down to 28K tokens. So I can see why they kind of went with the baseline and the standard there, even if it might grow past that and then be chopped back down or kind of summarized back down into it. The purpose of this rollover window is to let you use as much context as possible while keeping generations snappy, as it allows some special optimization. So overall, this about quadruples the available context compared to our existing models. As a reminder, one token is worth about 4 characters of text, so you roughly get 112,000 to 144,000 characters of memory size. Like, holy moly, it is a huge. I'm so excited to test it out whenever I can. During testing, we found that having a new model to play with, the increase in context size, and the new features were quite a breath of fresh air, which honestly we needed. They were talking a little bit about how it's been a while, you know, and it has been. It's been so long since they've actually released anything for the text gen. I feel like it keeps getting longer, like, every single time. I don't know. I remember one time, I think it was back whenever Irato released, it was like, man, this is just now past the longest time since they've released one thing for us again. And then I go into the Reddit and it's like, image gen is down, we're crumbling, we're collapsing. It's been one day since we've gotten some, you know? It's just immediately gone forever. Community at its finest. One thing for now that really kind of concerns me is that, you know, do note that for certain Novelai AI specific formatting like the ATTG is not explicitly supported by this model, but it will most likely understand the general meaning of an ATTG. I'm kind of like, how much is gone? How much can you work with? How much formatting can you get? Then again, I am just a big advocate kind of running it raw, you know what I mean? And kind of just building up with prose, or the easiest way, the simplest way, instead of formatting everything out to the finest minute detail so that you get like these very stale style generations that are exactly what you want, but there's really no creativity there. I like kind of just letting it be like, man, this character could have, red hair this entire time. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh, maybe that works, even if it's like supposed to be something different. It's fine. I don't think that's gonna hurt anything too bad. For performance, to be able to offer large context sizes, we had to cut out a chunk of our advanced sampling options. Ooh, that's another big thing, such as phrase biases, various samplers, and sample order. However, you will find that this model needs much less fiddling with samplers to begin with. Just a very basic preset works very well to generate highly coherent text, which is lovely to hear. Because a lot of people, at least from what I've heard, I've seen a lot of like newbies trying to get into this. One of the main things I hear is that this one's a bit more complex to get into. And I'll be completely honest, and I'll say I think some people just kind of make it seem more complex than it really is. It can seem really complex, or like, especially if you think you have to learn all of these things, like what an ATTG is, or how these samplers are gonna destroy your thing. Usually they have good enough presets and good enough, just knowledge on their own to kind of just set up any kind of story that you want without much fiddling, if I'm being completely honest. Now, the fiddling is all up to you. That's what I love, just like the freedom to do whatever you want and kind of experiment. You can go as in detail or as little detail as you need. And this thing kind of reminds me of like what most writing or AI enhanced writing softwares are doing nowadays, kind of the Grammarly type deal. I wonder how well this is going to be implemented and kind of used, as I typically don't use these things. If I'm being completely honest, I don't use like the Grammarly rewrite this in this tone or things like that, but it looks like they have put their own little twist on it, like always, and made it maybe more worth my while. I mean, Writer's Toolbox is a new feature that we've been working on for quite some time. The Toolbox contains various tools that let you change things that you have already written. You can access the Writer's Toolbox from the context menu on the selected text in the editor, or with the magic wand icon to the left of each paragraph. The Rewrite tool. The Rewrite tool will rewrite selected passage in such a way that is stylistically matches the existing story so far, which could be great for something like Kraken style things, or like remixing your old things with this one. So if you've got like older style stories that have been written in another model's way that you really like, or a model came up kind of really creatively with their writing style. Crake used to be really the stylistic choice, that's why I kind of mentioned it. But like, I think I recently took a story that was made in like Chat GPT, put it onto DeepSeek, or what was it? I think it was Grok 4, and Grok 4 just had this weird format that I didn't exactly like, but just kind of completely changed the style of the text in the paragraph and kind of made it into its own separate thing. So this might be kind of nice for that, just kind of keeping a consistent style. Now this one's like, I don't know where they came up with this. Do you ever wonder what a passage of your writing would look like? This is called the latent shifter. Would look like if it was more peanut butter? Did you ever struggle to infuse your writing with the right dose of holiday spirit for Christmas? The latent shifter tool, you can specify a concept and a strength, and the model will rewrite a selected paragraph and imbue it with that concept. Kind of like a version, of the rewrite tool, just with a kind of theme to it, right? Theme to add to it. Might be fun. Imagine you go with horror and you want more horror style or something like that. Might be nice to try. I don't know about peanut butter though. So now these two I'm just gonna lump together: expand and condense. So basically one adds a bunch of words and detail and kind of makes it more purpley, while the other one makes it more beigey and condensed, right? And kind of shortly formatted, right? I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I'll see how useful it is though. I don't think these are gonna be like amazingly game changing or anything like that, but they might be just, every now and then too long, maybe make it a little more condensed. And then the custom one is kind of nice, or kind of like a nice little addition. The tool is very flexible. Select a passage of text and simply tell the model how you would like it to be transformed. Which is kind of like an Intruct, if you ask me, but it has so much potential to do a lot of things. I really don't even know how to kind of quantify or explain that, but hopefully I can hear back. Maybe if you guys have any opinions on these things, how are they working for you? Drop it down in the comments below and I'll check them out. And if you have an idea or something about what other videos you would like to see, maybe whenever I actually get a hold of the model, drop those down below. Anything that you would like covered or kind of put out there or explained on how to do on Novelai, I will certainly do it. Okay, so they've also updated the text adventure mode, which is probably because, you're taking a raw instruct style model and then putting it in text adventure mode, you're putting it in with storyteller mode, all these different ways to use it and bend it to your will. So it probably needs a little bit more convincing, especially whenever it's this raw, right? It might not be as much of a problem, but let's see what they have to say. It should be quite reliable at narrating your adventures. If you prefer your adventures to have more of a choose your own adventure taste, we pick one of your next action from a list of options. You can try putting something like tags, text adventure, fantasy, choose your own adventure in your adventure's memory box, right? And I think I missed the top half of that. So we also have taken the opportunity to update the way our text adventure mode works with GLM 4.5. So is it gonna like put out options for you? Is it gonna be like pick up a sword, move on to the next room, kind of left, right, numbery style, choose your own adventure? Or is it gonna be I don't know about that. I don't know if it's gonna be, still just write what you want to do next. I hope so. I kind of liked it that way, and it seems to be more the standard, but choose your own adventure could be pretty fun. So now instruct, I'm guessing this is just basically the same, basically, I mean, it shouldn't need much kind of instruct module tinkering. Our inline instruct functionality is back in full force. At any point in your story, starting a paragraph with the curly bracket will add an instruct block where you can just tell the model what to write. For convenience, we have also added the ability to continue instruct messages over multiple lines with Shift Enter. Very nice. I love that. But yeah, nothing different there. It's basically the same thing. Multi-language support has strong capabilities in many languages. It is very capable in English, Japanese, Chinese, but you may also find that it helps in many different languages. Make sure to give your writing or make sure to give writing in your favorite languages a try. And it seems I also did markdown format, but just like the basic bold, italic, and strike through style. Kind of nice if you like that, if you like just being able to look over a story and having these little things added onto them, I've been doing a lot of writing in Obsidian Markdown, very good for note taking, so might help, but it's not something I use whenever I'm making the stories. Updated memory and author's note. Now this is another big part here that I think, or at least I hope, hopefully work. We have modified the way that memory and author's note are inserted into the context and sent. They are no longer simply inserted as part of the story text, but inserted in a different way that will improve both adherence to the information contained in them while also reducing leakage. The author's note box should now actually function more closely to how you would imagine it to work and can be used for steering the story. Hopefully now we don't really have to do this whole runaround thing of being like, oh, just set it up in the lore book, because you can just put it in the same position that it would be on the side there. And, it's another thing that kind of makes it nicer for new people to come in and just kind of hop straight to, which is what it seems like they're focusing on keeping new people, having an easy time to get in, right out the gate. There's going to be less samplers, you don't need them as much, you're going to have new memory and author's note that kind of work the way that you want them to. You're going to have slight things to help you write in these kind of, more detailed paragraphs or less detailed paragraphs, and rewrite it in your style and whatnot. Hopefully these should be all very nice tools for those new people just coming in. Now then, they've also updated the lore book. Could be huge. But let's just see. For performance reasons, and to be able to offer larger context sizes, we had to remove the advanced context insertion settings from our lorebook. To make up for it, we've added an advanced conditions tab where you can add additional conditions under which the lorebook entry should get activated to link together entries or specific activation keywords in a more fine-grained manner. Additionally, using and in regular lorebook keys has gained a new meaning. Using it means that multiple keys need to be within the activation search window. The lorebook with the key of Novelai and Anatlan would activate only if both Novelai and Anatlan are within recent context. Not much changed, but also the advanced context tab was very important for setting up these kind of advanced lorebooks, so I imagine quite a few things have been kind of wrecked by that, but it also is, just like I was saying before, hopefully a nice step in the direction for the new people that don't want to figure all that out, that don't want to kind of fiddle with that as much. It seems much more condensed, and just use it like you would. Hopefully it works pretty well with this thing. That's all I want, just a nice smooth journey, Similarly to memory and author's note, we have also adjusted the way the lorebook entries are inserted into context to make them work more consistently and reduce leakage. So yes, it seems like they're really just locking in on these things, which good on them. The leakage problem has been a huge thing to work around whenever you first get in, you know. It's like, why is it just spitting out my memory back at me, you know? It happens. I'd say that it happens a lot less here than anywhere else that I've tried. Like, there's been quite a few ways to get around it, and kind of I haven't really had much of a problem as of recent models, but still, you know, some people I'm sure still have it occasionally and whatnot. So yeah, this is huge. A huge update, by far one of the biggest. Hopefully this is like the biggest change we've seen in a while, and it just keeps getting better because guess what? They added 4.6. I looked up GLM 4.5 whenever I made that post on the channel a little bit ago, and then the next day I looked it up again, and I was like, wait a second, it's at 4.6 already. And then I was like, man, this thing has more, just better everything. And I was like, man, did we like miss an opportunity to go to the next one immediately? But no, they just hopped ship. I hope it didn't like slow them back or slow the roll immediately or anything too much on their fine tune and whatnot. But yeah, that's huge on them to keep up on it, you know, and kind of just be like, yeah, we're gonna rock with it and make it even better for you guys. I wonder what the difference between 4.5 and 4.6 was. Like, I kind of wish I could still experiment with 4.5, but looks like 4.6 is better in every single way. Has been added to GLM 4.6. This latest version should improve, provide an even better writing and role-playing experience, so there's no downside. Basically, I think that's gonna be it. I just wanted a short video to put out, get some more news out there. I love making that post and got a few people excited about it, right? Some people don't even know, probably, because the way that I found out about this was I was coming in to grab like an old story, and I hadn't actually been on Novelai for a while. I think it was like 2 weeks or something. I was just experimenting with Chubb some more. And then I come back the same exact day. I think it was like the 27th. And there it is. And I almost didn't even check anything. I didn't notice that there was an update. And then boom, biggest update of my life right there. Hopefully it's good. Drop down in the comments below what you think about it. I'm Rent. This has been Rent's League. Hope to see you all in the future. And also, if you guys have a gift key and maybe want to, you know, help me kind of keep this going, I don't know, maybe there's generous people in the community. My Gmail is on the channel page. If you hit more, there is a Rents League Gmail link there. I don't know if that's against their terms of service. Drop that down below if I am breaking something, but you know, it is there. It's an offer. And yeah, that'll be all. Good day.